Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Michael Vargas. I'm a business consultant who works with organizations to create collaborative and productive team cultures. This is a video series by Lead by Impact, talking to leaders who will share their own hero's journey with the culture. And today we have the wonderful Avra Martin. Hi, Avra.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good, thank you, thank you. And just so the people know, Avra Martin is a daring, results-driven leader with 16 years of research and operations experience in both academics and enterprise. Currently, she is a senior manager of research operations at ServiceNow in San Diego, California. With a master's and PhD in marriage and family therapy, her roots are in systems thinking, understanding the delicate relationship and interconnectedness between product, design, product, business, product, business, and the user, which provides a holistic approach to research and design at scale. And what was funny is we were just talking about what happens if we make a mistake. And I was like, we're just going to keep going. So guess what, folks? We're going to keep going. Avra, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
I love it. Way to lighten the mood.
Right? So totally going to happen. Very human. That's life. And how Avra and I got to meet was through a mutual friend of ours, James Vin, who's currently the president of SDXD. And he had us come together with another person named, call him Wolfie, to create basically a workshop for designers to be able to talk about some of the challenges that they have. I believe it was like, was it regarding burnout? What was the topic specifically again? What did we want to open up the space for?
We really wanted to open up the space for vulnerability, and specifically vulnerability in the workplace, and really helping everybody who joined that workshop in understanding that I think we all have experiences that shape us in the workplace, and really realizing that they're not alone in those experiences, right? And really being able to be vulnerable and talk about the impact that they have on their lives, and really their ability to be productive and well.
Yeah, I remember that was a big part, that we wanted people to not feel alone in that experience. And we got a lot of great feedback from that. So that was really fun. And so that was us getting to start to know each other. And then I've learned all these amazing things about Avra, and I thought, what a fantastic person to have on this. So thank you for being here. And can you share with the kids at home a little bit about, how would you describe what it is that you do?
I mean, you definitely share the title, right? So senior manager, research operations, but like, what does that actually mean in the day-to-day? So I'm part of the experience organization at ServiceNow. So the experience organization houses about 500 design, research, and product content professionals. And so I oversee the research operations specifically for our insights research organization. And really what research operations is, it's a very, very new field. I would say it's still in its infancy, probably about 5 years old, but our job is really to help enable researchers to be able to do their best work. And so providing, there's technically about 8 pillars to research operations, but they're focused on environment and scope and customer engagement and tools and vendor relationships and the ability to evangelize the insights. So you're not just doing research for research's sake, right? That you're able to kind of, as my bio said, like drive those findings into product. So I oversee a team that enables our larger research team.
Beautiful. And people always say knowledge is power. And I like to push back on that, where I say, I don't think it's knowledge that's power. It's the application of the knowledge that is true power. And that, in a sense, is kind of what you're doing, it sounds like.
Yeah, I love that so much. That's an awesome saying.
You can have it. I just get 10%. That's all I ask. So being that you do work with these teams, what do you think in general people want in a team culture? There's a whole gambit of things, right? Nothing in a silo, but what's like the first thing that comes to mind that people really want in a team culture?
I mean, I think ultimately people want to feel valued. And I think that they want to feel respected by their organization and by their peers. And I think at the heart, people want to show up as their authentic self every day and have a sense of purpose. You know, before joining ServiceNow, I did academic research on resilience, and I had a private practice where I saw clients. And you know, there's a lot of literature that say, you know, if you are able to show up every day and be the same person at work that you are at home, that you're going to have better life satisfaction, you're going to have better mental wellness. And so I think being able to be that person is at the heart of, you know, a strong culture.
Right. Being able to show up fully, right, as
Yeah.
themselves.
Not a you know, not putting on a different persona for work,
Right. Not
right?
putting on, okay, I'm going to put on my work hat, in which maybe there's some elements of it, but the idea of being able to just not have to completely change who we are just to kind of get things done at work.
Totally.
I think that's something that I've definitely experienced with a lot of the teams I'm working with, where there's this push, not, I don't even want to say push, there's a desire to just be able to be who they are. And the beauty of that is if we can create a space where people are who they are, then there's a lot less friction, which is going to be a lot less draining, which is going to then take less time for things to get done. So I really appreciate that. And so you've been working with teams for a while, and as a leader, what's been a challenge that you've personally had when it came to working with team culture?
Yeah. So, okay. So I had a really hard time with this question, right? Because I thought about, you know, I was in academics for a long time and like some different challenges that I faced there, both, you know, as a contributor and as a manager. And, you know, some of them I think are very overt and I think some are covert. But I wanted to really bring it into the now and what I'm experiencing. You know, I've been with Service now for 2 years. And I remember walking through the hall on one of my first days and seeing, you know, people like fully tattooed, like neck tattoos and stretched ears, and, you know, people just standing up in meetings and really kind of saying their piece. And I was like, how I am in the right place. Right? Because I came from a place of a fair bit of hierarchy and just kind of looking a certain way and being a certain way. And that obviously doesn't feed into my definition of culture. And so as I was thinking, you know, what is our biggest challenge? I started thinking about what it's like to have 40 team members that we're supporting and trying to build this culture for in 7 locations on 4 continents, and what a challenge that's been. And so I think that was kind of the top of mind culture challenge that I wanted to bring here today.
Right. I mean, time zones, right? That is not an easy thing to have to navigate with a whole bunch of different people. And so what do you think have been the secondary effects of that, of having people on different continents, on different time zones all over the world?
So we learned earlier in the year during our employee voice survey that people felt somewhat disconnected from the team, and that they felt that San Diego specifically, because it houses the most members of our experience organization, including all but a few of our research leadership, felt like kind of the dominant culture. And so, and that we had more access to kind of those moment to moment, like organic interactions.
Mm-hmm.
And that made others feel essentially like they were missing out. And so we realized that was just one thing that we needed to tackle to be able to build a stronger culture, is like making sure that regardless of location, that you had the same access to things that were logistical like tools, but also have the same access to your colleagues and have the same access to collaboration and to build something that felt more, I'm kind of going like this. I'm thinking like just almost like tangible and organic, like really be able to build relationships, which is so much harder when you're not in a face-to-face format. And so that was kind of the challenges we were up against, or the problems that it was causing.
Yeah, I mean, the simple things of bumping into someone in the hallway, like there's so much value in that. It's small, it's seemingly small, but I think now, especially with this time, people are recognizing the bumping in the hallways and being able to knock on someone's door and, hey, let's go get lunch. Those little things are small, but they make such a huge difference in helping people feel included. Right? You can have the diversity, but that's the inclusion piece that meets, especially when people are on different continents.
100%. Right. And then I think if there is one group of people that become closer for any reason, primarily because of geographic proximity, is, you start to have your own inside jokes, or you have your own thing. Like, one of my colleagues used to bring donuts once a week, and we would joke with him on meetings about bringing donuts, and people from other locations be like, where are my donuts? I want my donuts. And so it's like, how do you combat that and make sure that you're creating that culture where people do feel valued, they feel respected, they feel like they're part of the bigger purpose, and that they can lead with their authentic selves and have those special moments that just happen so organically.
And the hard part, and then one of the hard parts too is, and we'll start moving on from there, is like when we start even building those little things and people aren't included in that, it almost, it feels like it creates even a further and further and further divide and gap. Not purposefully, not meant to do that, but even just like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, and I've now said that 7 times because you all have such things that are going on in your day to day.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that you did to kind of counteract that? What were some of the steps you took to try to overcome that?
So we actually, I think a couple things happened, right? Is based on knowing that this was an issue, we put together a small tiger team. I got to be the leadership sponsor, which is amazing, of these amazing researchers, Michelle Munoz and Heather Bales and Dion Bellinger and Nancy Zing. We all got together and we actually applied design thinking to the problem, right? So we empathized with the users, what was happening for them, why do you think they were feeling this disconnect? We started to get into problem statements, how might these, and then kind of dove into a solution space. And we had a couple of different tangible things we could do throughout the year, but we started with this thing called Insights Trios. And Insights Trios is, we put together a list of every insights researcher, and we randomly selected groups of 3, and everybody was given their Insights Trio members, and they were tasked with meeting bi-weekly for 3 months for 30 to 60 minutes to hang out and just get to know each other. And so we finished our first cycle in late November, early December, and we saw a huge spike in people feeling like they were part of something bigger.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's a huge win, right? I mean, it's an ongoing process. But I think really making concerted effort to, part of the issue is not feeling like you have a closeness with a colleague. And that's not built in business meetings, right? And we're not able to do it necessarily because we're in the same geographic location. So how can we be really purposeful on making sure that we're putting these groups together where people can actually start to get to know their colleagues? My trio specifically, I'll give you an example, is one of the people in my trios is apparently a Dance Revolution junkie. And he actually has the machine at her house.
Wow. Not the plastic little one.
Oh no.
The machine.
Girl's not messing around. And my other trio buddy taught me that you can actually teach your cat to do tricks. And so since then, my cat has learned how to sit and shake and give high fives. Um, but it's like, we have to, if these things can't happen just organically, we have to create opportunities for them to happen. And now I consider these two people to be friends.
Right.
You know, and coming from a place where I worked with the same people for 15 years, like that level of closeness helps to build culture for me. So we are actually on our second set of trios now. And I just had my trio meeting right before this. And I think it's going to be another opportunity to find two more awesome people that I work with to connect with.
It's so funny when you said like I'm on my second trio. It almost sounded like I'm on my second kid, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're getting
and I'm meeting more people.
Right? But how beautiful this is, because I think a lot of people are scared of, or I think leaders have a hard time in first really recognizing that, hey, it's not happening organically. So now it's time that we actually got to do something about it. Right? People think that, they allow organic to happen, which is great. And you can facilitate other things to allow for more organic opportunities like events and things like that. But if things aren't happening organically, just get in it. Just be proactive. Just be like, you know what? We know that. And that was the beauty, is that at least you and your team first recognized that there was a problem, right? Like you said, okay, we're having an issue with this. Let's put in our design thinking caps and come up with some sort of solution, and just literally just brought people together. And it's just those things that can make such a big difference.
Well, and I think, to go full circle too on the design thinking is, we ran this pilot based on this solution that we came up with, and, being researchers at heart, and we did a survey at the end, saw what people liked, saw what people didn't dislike, or people disliked. And then we actually, some of the feedback we garnered was some people wanted more structure. And so we actually put together an entire list of things you could be doing in your trios to roll out with the next iteration of this. And I think people can nominate themselves out of the trios, and we have 100% of people in a trio right now. And I think that really says a lot too, that the team's like, no, let's keep this thing going.
For those who don't know, 100% is a very high number, just to clarify.
For everything, yes.
For everything, yes. And so we kind of touched on it briefly, but could you articulate a little bit of how do you think that this made the team feel? Like, what do you think this really did for them? Just to kind of get it a little more specific.
I mean, I think ultimately, I think it made them feel heard, first of all, because they said this is a problem, and we listened. And so like, okay, how can we do this better? I know just from the feedback that we received that it made them feel more connected to their colleagues, which is awesome, because we were doing things like team building, but they're like once a quarter with your own team. And so the cadence just wasn't enough to start feeling like, oh, I have these people. And I think making it, we really focus the trios on being about, like, not about work and not about the deliverable outcomes, but more about, hey, just get to know each other, hang out. And I think being able to have like that human connection, not just like, I'm working on this project and you're working on this project, and so we have to interact, was really, really valuable. And so I think it really elevated the culture in that people felt that connection, authenticity that they were able to bring to work.
I mean, that's just got to feel so incredible, of being seen as a human. It's very easy for an organization, especially a decent sized one like ServiceNow, for any organization, I'm not saying ServiceNow, but any organization of that size, to just kind of see people as just kind of cogs in the wheel, rather than seeing people as human beings, which also is nice. And that's kind of the beauty of, I would imagine, the ServiceNow culture, because I have quite a few friends who also work at ServiceNow, and there is that in the culture. And then also having that design thinking mindset and applying it outside of work, or outside like of the business to clients, but also now applying it internally as well. So it's kind of cool to see how the culture of the organization can get to apply to all different elements.
Right, because we're all trying to create better experiences, right? And
Ding.
sometimes our team is our users. So it's like,
100%.
okay, so how do we create a better experience for you? Because we want people to come and feel fulfilled and happy and, you know, love the work that they're doing. But, you know, often it's not just about the work.
Right.
You
And
know?
I'm going to go on a little side tangent. So just bear with me. I'm going to get on my high horse, as they say. A lot of times when I'm working with teams and cross-sectional teams that are trying to figure out how to work together, often teams, and these are design teams, by the way, so this blows my mind. They're trying to figure out how to work better with another team. And what they do is they talk to them in their own language, right? Design teams will talk to other teams like the coding team and all that stuff in design language, and see it from the design perspective. And oftentimes when I work with design teams, I'm saying, use what you know, do the user research, try to understand these other teams, to try to figure out what's going on with them, understand their language, understand their needs, and speak to that. And I'm just very excited to hear that ServiceNow is doing that internally as well. So with that, how do you feel like you've grown from this experience, right? How do you feel like you've been able to develop from getting these trios together?
Gosh, how did I grow from this experience? I mean, number one, I don't know. I love being able to learn from other people. Right. And I think being part of this Tiger team just really focused on culture. I felt like it was such a collaborative effort where we were constantly coming together to figure out how best to implement this, how to do this, how do we create culture, what does culture mean? You know, are we hitting the mark? Are we not? Where do we need to iterate? And it was awesome just being part of that. So I think that helped me grow quite a bit. And, you know, just always understanding culture and what people need from their perspective. You know, it's kind of like you were just saying, like really meeting people where they were at. And I think in some ways we thought we were hitting the mark before. It's like, oh, we do team building, we do these things. And realizing, you know, that's not enough. It's not getting us the A in team culture.
Right. So getting to be outside of oneself and really try to think of, and I like the idea of what they call, I think, the platinum rule, not treat others as you want to be treated, but treat others as they want to be treated. And so really taking that to heart. So it sounds like you just made some platinum.
All right.
Well done. I hear that's good stuff.
They say, yes.
So they say. Well, Avra, where can people go if they want to learn more about you?
I would say just go to my LinkedIn, Avra Martin.
Okay. And that's AVERRIA space MARTIN.
That's right.
Yeah. And I want to say, Avra, that I'm so grateful for you being here, for sharing, for dropping some wisdom, dropping some knowledge, being with me in my fumble up in the beginning and making this a fun space for us. And I just want to say that I really appreciate that. I knew that you would be such a wise person to bring onto this. And I think you have provided such wonderful bits of wisdom for others. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for having me. And thank you for doing this. You know,
pleasure.
I think this is amazing. And I can't wait to watch all of the videos.
Totally. Well, folks, thank you all for being here and taking the time to listen to Avra and I chit chat back and forth about leadership and culture. If you'd like to learn more about leaders and you want to learn more about team culture, you can visit us at leadbyimpact.com. Thank you, everyone who's watching, and thank you again, Avra.
Welcome.